What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Beyond the Beret, where we find guys that's done phenomenal work within the regiment. We share their stories with you in hope of inspiring you, the next generation, right? Today I have my Care Coalition rep that just helped me retired, right? Mike, and I just wanted to bring him on, guys. He's an old third group, first battalion guy. He'll share his stories with you, some of the stuff that he went through, and hopefully that can help somebody out there currently going through that same situation, right? Mike, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, if you don't mind, just tell the folks just a quick snippet about you, where you grew up, how was early life, and then we'll get right into why you joined the military, what made you join, and then we'll just chronicle your story.
I actually grew up in Lumberton, North Carolina.
That's right up the road.
Not too far from here. My dad was in the Navy, so I did live in Hampton, at Virginia Beach some. But mainly grew up there, graduated in 93 from Lumberton High School. Went straight in the military like 2 months later, August 10th, 1993. Did 3 years, and then got out. It was the whole, FTA, I'm going to college, woo,
Yeah.
Type thing. But there was a big awakening. I didn't realize how sheltered you are in the military, and how much, even as just an E4, how made you got it, what I'm saying? You got a house provided for you, electricity you're not paying for, stuff like that. So I got out. I was working 2-3 jobs at the same time, and I was back in 9 months later.
Yeah. Now, did you know at a very early age that you wanted to join the military? Because you mentioned your dad was in the Navy.
Well, actually, what I wanted to do, when my dad was on the USS Eisenhower, he went on what I call dependence cruise. They bring in all the dependents on the carrier, then they go out into out to the land a little bit, and got to see the jets take off from the flight deck. And that time they still had the F-14 Tomcats, and I think they still had the Phantoms. And I fell in love with it, man. I've always been an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
So, but I wanted to fly.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to Annapolis, but SAT scores weren't that great at all. In fact, they were horrible. I was, not that great at standardized tests. I had good grades. I was A student, A B student, but yeah, I couldn't make it there, so I decided to join the Army.
Yeah. Now, were you a big fan of Top Gun? Did you watch that movie over and over like 20 times? Like...
No. I was too busy playing baseball, football, or wrestling or something.
No, I got you. So you grew up playing sports. Did you not want to go to like not did you play in college or?
No, I didn't. Be honest, I had nobody. Kind of like when I'm mentoring my boys now about school. I had nobody doing that for me because my dad was always gone. He was always a Mediterranean cruise, or he left us in Lumberton, and he would come home on the weekends either from Charleston, South Carolina, when he drove tugs down there.
Yeah.
Or when he was on med cruises, operating out of Little Creek or NOB up in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
He'd come home on the weekends. He was trying to give us a stable life, instead of moving every 4 years. And, it affected our relationship to this day, but I had the utmost respect for him because he sacrificed his relationship to have a more stable, us to have a more stable home life, which, being a father now, I totally get it.
Yeah. So. And it's one of those things, I think it's funny you say that because, well, it's not funny, but I understand because growing up in New York City, 1 out of 8 kids, my parents were, immigrants from Haiti.
Oh.
And it's my mom and dad, 8 kids in New York City. My dad did nothing but work. So it was literally like I wake up and it's my mom, right? My dad comes home for about 30 minutes and then he's gone. He had 3 jobs. So I didn't see him at all. And to your point, even now, like I'm a grown man, like I still don't have that father and son relationship.
Yeah.
I'm close with my mom.
Same here. Yeah.
But like I'll call my dad, once in a blue moon just to see how he's doing. Him and my mom are still together, but I understand it because it's like to make it in New York City, immigrants from Haiti and not really have like a trade and just constantly working just to make sure that we had a roof over our heads.
No, I get it.
Like I completely get it. So knowing that, what made you want to join the military after high school? Like you saw how your dad's career went. So,
no, it was just like I said. It was I wanted to, thought I wanted to go to school. So the best way to get money for that, because we didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know what? We grew up with he provided. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like we had a lot left over.
Yeah,
type
I understand.
thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I got no complaints. I think I had a great childhood. I mean, rode 4-wheelers and motorcycles all the time. Played out in the woods.
Yeah.
Not like a lot of kids today where they're mostly inside. I don't think I ever stayed inside.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what made you choose the Navy what made you choose Army versus Navy? Now, you mentioned that you were in before. Was it Army also, or was it?
Yeah, it was Army. Yeah, it was. I think because seeing what he had to be on the ship and where he slept and stuff like that, I was like, ugh, I don't want no part of that. Not just being, the Army. They showed me the 11 Bravo, little movie you do with a recruiter. I was like, well, that looks cool.
Yeah.
And then of course, signed up for Airborne.
Yeah.
And I honestly didn't know I was going to come to. Well, my first enlistment. Everybody, all my friends were going to RIP, so I volunteered for RIP after Airborne School and went there, and it was right after Somalia, and then all the people from 375 were RIP instructors, so it was pure hell. I mean, you were doing the Indian thinking position in asphalt, you were digging, full fighting man positions and stuff like that. It was hell. I'm not gonna lie. It was a culture shock for me. It was. I mean, they were taking out their, being a vet now from combat. I can know the things they were dealing with, and they were taking it out on us. Their aggression. Their anger, especially from the debacle that happened. There in Mogadishu.
Yeah.
But I get it, but at the same time, when you're 17, 18 years old, you're like, you're kind of a little scared, You got some dude right in your face, I've been punched there before.
Yeah.
I was, got in a little bit of trouble and ended up coming to the 82nd.
Yeah. Now, when you initially enlisted and you were en route to basic training, did you talk to your parents at all? Because I try to tell these younger guys that follow me on the channel, whenever you do get ready to join the military, I consider it like a life-altering decision. So I always encourage them to speak to their loved ones, whether it's mom, dad. They might not be supportive, but once you get to that point and you're wearing that uniform and you have that flag on your shoulder, they're gonna quickly become patriotic. Now, did you have that conversation with your dad or mom? Hey, I'm going to join the military. Or did you
no, I mean, my mom had to sign because I had one of those early birthdays. I was still 17 when I come in the Army. I think I turned 18 sometime during basic training, but she had to sign for me because I went into the program where you're going a year before, or whatever. Signed the paperwork. She had to sign. I don't think she was too happy about it, but she supported it because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Yeah. It really wasn't until after I had done 3 years got out, working 3 jobs, trying to go to school, ruining my credit, eating ramen and rice and the 2 for $2 deal at Burger King that was across the street, and just basically fishing for coins and change out of my change jar just so you could eat. It was like, you know what, the Army thinks, hey, it ain't too bad. It really, I mean,
Yeah. How was basic training in AIT for you? Was that a culture shock?
Oh,
or
yeah,
was it just
absolutely. That's, first time away from home, you know what I'm saying, for an extensive time. And I think one of the first mornings, the first night, that you get after, whatever that downstage is, 0 week or whatever, and you go to your platoon and you sleep that night. And I think the next thing I heard was, it was a trash can being kicked across the room. And
so they did that back then too, huh?
Oh, I was thinking like, what the hell have I got myself into?
Yeah.
But, I always think, especially now when I tell my boys this, I'm like, hey, you just need to think about all the thousands of people that done it before you. There's nothing more special about them than you. You just got to gut it out. Sometimes you got to take it day by day. Sometimes you got to take it meal by meal.
Yeah.
You know. Just,
now, was that down at Fort Benning still?
Yeah, Fort Benning.
Yeah, that's awesome. Basic AIT knocked out. This was what, 1993? 3? Oh, wow. I was still in Haiti.
Yeah, well, that's funny. I was going to say that. I remember when I was in the second of 504 ACO, we were going to jump in.
Yeah.
I was a saw gunner at the time. I think about it now because I had a rucksack. It was only probably, I can't even remember how much it was. Don't even get me the line. We used to work with the old 7 Alphas.
Yeah.
And then we, just for that jumping into Haiti, we got the new 7 Bravo nods.
Yeah.
And I had a saw with 600 rounds, and that was it.
Yeah.
And I think about it now, I was like, man, I would have went Winchester maybe within the first 30 minutes if we got in a real gunfight.
Yeah,
about now in Afghanistan, So, we watched this CIA video about, they had basically did a route reconnaissance of the road we were going to march down, and we were going to do relief in place at the embassy with 1st Ranger Battalion.
Yeah.
But those whole stories that you hear about that the AG, the assistant gunner, had only 9 rounds of 9, only 15 rounds or whatever of 9mm rounds. It was true. It was all true.
Yeah,
it's all true. That's all he had. That's all he had.
He's not getting a lot done with that.
No, because you think about it, and it's the same stuff about stories about people were getting bumped off, for officers in Gavin Hall to get their mustard stain, and you hear the same stories about. I went to a winter mountaineering course up in Vermont after my first rotation, and it was a guy there from I think it was 175 or 375. Same thing happened there. They were going to actually do an airfield seizure. Yeah. But then they basically kept moving to DZ or further away. And he said all it became was a movement to contact. Yeah. And he said the further it got away,
the less appealing.
Oh, people started coming off, and officers from the regiment started jumping on. I mean, it's sad is what it is. You're taking gun teams off for a couple officers to get on there to get their mustard stain. Yeah. It's taking firepower to put up with some officer that probably hasn't been training like these Rangers have.
Yeah, just to get that career made.
Just for what? An award that after you get out of the Army, nobody's going to know what you did.
Means nothing.
It means nothing. Absolutely, it means nothing.
Yeah. So you get done with basic, you get done with AIT. Now you mentioned that you ended up going to Ranger Battalion. How was that?
Well, that's the thing. I got in some trouble. Yeah. I always said if I ever found this dude, I'd probably beat the living daylights out of him. His name was Sergeant Salter. Yeah. He was the supply sergeant there for RIP. And we had his first sergeant was from CAG, First Sergeant Evans. That was a hard dude. You could tell he had that 1,000-yard stare. Yeah. I mean, literally, you could. Yeah. And he was really, really nice, but at the same time, he was firm. You know what I'm saying? He's just one of those guys to where he's silent but strong type, and you don't want to mess with him. Yeah. That he was that type of guy. And he was a fair guy. And the reason, you'll find out why. But so I was on a detail with another guy down in the supply room, and the guy said, I can't remember, he was messing around with us, playing around with us because we were, just privates there, just screwing around with us. He had this big old ball of rubber bands, and he was throwing it at me. Then he hit me in the groin, and I bent over because he hit me in my, my groin. And then he runs up to my face, and he said, "You want to hit me, don't you, Fairfax? You want to hit me, don't you?" I didn't know what to say, so he backs away a little bit, and then he, boom, hits me straight in the chest. Knocks the wind out of me. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? So that night, I actually left. I went AWOL. Yeah. I drove up to ECU with my best friend from high school, and we got drunk. And then I called the NCOIC for RIP. It was Sergeant Puckett at the time. Yeah. And he's like, all right. He's like, come on back. Just don't get no tickets. So I came back. I had told my mom about it. I was like, just told her where I was going. You know what I'm saying? Well, I guess she had called down there worried about me. You know, being a mom, I get it.
Yeah.
But then when I had to come in front of First Sergeant Evans and Sergeant Salter was there, he's like, "Aren't you a man? Don't you can handle your problems?" You know, I mean, I'm 17. Well, I was 18 by that time.
Yeah.
You know, but I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who else? I'm 18 years old. I ain't got no one else but my mom.
Yeah.
You know, type thing, or my dad. But anyways, he was like, "Do you want to press charges against Sergeant Salter?" I was like, I didn't know what to say. I'm just dumbfounded. I'm in trouble. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was like, no. So I got to summarize Article 15. I think it was like 15 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up staying there for like 6 months waiting on my orders. And they put me in charge of all the RIP holdovers and stuff like that. And the first sergeant actually asked me, he's like, Fairfax, you did a good job, coming back from what you did and taking care of, what you've been in charge of. He's like, I'd like to offer you another chance to go to RIP. I was like, nah. I was like, if I'm going to get beat on, I was like, I'd rather just go to the 82nd.
Yeah.
I understand.
Now, any regrets from not taking it
I
on?
do. I think about it from time to time, and I regret not gutting it out or sticking it out.
Yeah.
But you know what? I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just only been in the Army, 9 months?
Yeah.
If that, something like that. And I didn't know what. Yeah.
I mean, tell you what, you're a lot mentally tougher than a lot of 18-year-olds, because I probably would have fought that dude. And that's the God honest truth, because I'm a big fan of, you can talk, you can say whatever you want, but you put hands on me or you hit me in any way, shape, or form, then the script changes. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. So you get down to the 82nd now. How was that for you?
That was it was fine. I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We did a lot of good training. I was started out I think I was on a saw gunner, and then I was on a gun team for the rest of the time, which I actually enjoyed. Getting to shoot the old M60.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. Did a lot of good training all the time. Got a chance to, like I said, we were almost jumped into. In fact, my battalion commander was Colonel. The guy was in charge of JSOC. McChrystal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that before he went to 275.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was that's a hard man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of a butthole too.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I remember one time we were doing range 63, and it used to be nothing but a movement to contact range, right? Mm-hmm. It was in July. It was the end of, we'd been in the field for like 3 weeks. It was the last range we were doing. We were going home. And we kept doing this range over and over and over. And guys just start dropping like flies. Mm-hmm. Boom, 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 like 4 guys. And then the medic, he passes out. Okay? Then McChrystal comes in our little RRP where, we don't know whether to stand up or not. We're so gassed. And he comes in the middle of the ORP. He's like, all right, you bunch of fucking pussies. You're going to go home. You're going to get some meal, get some good sleep. And you're going to come back out here tomorrow. You're going to do this range of standard. And we're just like,
we just did it like
yeah, exactly. We were like, okay, but we never went back out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my experience with McChrystal.
Now, how long were you in the 82nd for?
Did 3 years there, and then once I got out, I moved up to Raleigh. In fact, I was living right behind NC State on Avon Ferry. Nice. I mean, basically like 300 meters from.
Oh, that's good times, I bet.
Yeah, from Western Boulevard. Yeah. I mean, but it taught me that. Yeah, you might have to do some training and stuff like that in the military, but man, you got it made. You got 3 days, you got 4 days, you got 30 days paid vacation. You got health care. The thing with the military is that as long as you know how to listen to somebody in authority, take directions, be in the right place, right time, right uniform, man, you can make E7 easily.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And know how to do PT.
Yeah. And go shoot guns from time to time. Yeah. Like I always tell some of these younger guys that reach out to me, I'm like, that regardless of where you go, you're always going to have to answer to somebody. Yeah. It can be in the military. It can be in the civilian sector.
Yeah.
You can be Elon Musk. You still gotta answer to the government. You still gotta pay taxes.
Right.
Like, even if you're the president, you still gotta answer to your voters. Like, you will always have to answer to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And it's like the military at a very early age. I feel like it did wonders for me when I was 18 years old out of New York City with no clue what I was trying to get my life. The direction I was trying to get my life to go towards.
Well, I was the same way. I mean, I got out. I still didn't know what I would do. I thought I wanted to go to NC State and do engineering program or something. But it just didn't work out. I didn't. That's not what I had. No interest in it, and I missed the Army. I missed the training. Actually, I missed doing the training. I missed the camaraderie. Kids in college. It was whole different. You're just wired differently by that time. Even just 3 years in, you're wired differently. So I came back in, and I don't regret the decision. At that time, after being out for 9 months, it taught me what I wanted to do. I knew because I had to pack it in for a selection when I was in the first time.
Yeah.
But be honest, I was intimidated, didn't think I'd make it or anything like that.
Yeah.
But when I got out and I decided to come back in, I was like, all right, as soon as I can go to selection, I'm putting a packet in, I'm going to selection.
Gotcha. So what made you get out the first time? Just curious.
Just the whole thing. I'm going to, I'm going to go to college.
Yeah.
Woo! Type thing.
Yeah.
And it was a rude awakening.
Yeah.
You get out, just like I said, and you get out into the real world, you don't have that security blanket called the U.S. Army, or the government. You just don't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I didn't do, the math, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I had to, get rid of the car I had, which was a nice car at that time.
Yeah.
It was a Honda Accord. So it was just, it was an eye-opening experience.
Yeah. So now you got out, try college, and you decided to go back in. Were you still 11 Bravo?
Yeah, I went back to 3325.
Mm-hmm.
And then within that year, as soon as I could put a packet in, I put it in for selection, and we were doing EIB train up, and because I had got my EIB when I was in the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So those mornings I was, running the station, I'd ruck 3 times a week.
Yeah.
At least 55 pounds. I'd ruck anywhere from 4 to 8 miles, 4 to 10 miles a week. I mean, each time.
Yeah.
I just varied it up.
Now, we'll back up a little bit. How did you first get exposed to special operations? Because this is the 90s. Mogadishu had just happened, but SF wasn't really doing anything at that time, right?
There was a guy in Company Waters that went, and I've always been drawn to challenges.
Yeah.
Even if I know I'm probably going to fail,
yeah,
I'm still drawn to it because it's a challenge, And like I always said, I've always been an adrenaline junkie. I've always sought things that give me adrenaline. It's just like, they say war is a drug, and that's 100% correct statement.
Yes.
War is a drug. It's the best drug you ever do.
Yeah.
It's just that adrenaline high the whole time, whether, bullets are flying at you or you're giving it back or whatever it may be. I've always been drawn to that, and I've always been drawn to a challenge.
Yeah.
Even if I know that I'm probably going to fail it, I'm still going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you found out. Now, did that guy get selected from?
Yeah, he did. He actually went to first group, and then he became a battalion CSM. Yeah, because I'd see his name sometimes. I never met him again.
Gotcha.
But looking on the globe, I always wondered what happened to him, and he ended up being a sergeant major.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned once you saw him you started to train up for it. Did you know what you were getting yourself into at that point? Did you know anything about selection?
Not really. The biggest thing was that I was looking for something that was more challenging, advanced training. I knew what I enjoyed my time in the 82nd, as a lower enlisted guy. When I went to selection, I was an E5. But I knew that you're gonna peak at a certain point.
Yeah.
You're gonna peak early.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to like training, assignments, and stuff like that. I wanted to do something that was very challenging. I wanted to do something to where that advanced training. I wanted to work with guys that actually want to come to work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you're in a platoon of other guys, I mean, you got a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm.
You really do.
Yeah.
You know.
So you got ready for selection. Now you mentioned you were doing a lot of physical prep, the rucking, the running. How about mental mindset? Did you do anything mentally to get you ready for what you're
not
about
really.
to face?
I mean, I played sports my whole from when I was 5 all the way till I graduated. I wrestled in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I think wrestling more than anything, and I competed in powerlifting competitions too. My dad got me in powerlifting.
Yeah.
I think wrestling more than anything prepared me mentally. You know,
Gotcha.
I was just an average wrestler, but
Gotcha.
even just being an average wrestler, you know, that still mentally prepares you physically and mentally to put yourself, because, you know, I don't know how selection is now, but when I went, you had team week.
Yeah.
You know, 5 days of just pure suck.
Yeah, that's still a thing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, my feet, the balls in my feet were bruised.
Yeah.
Because I stayed up underneath the apparatuses so long. I would just, you know, put my head down and just go.
Yeah.
You know, type mindset.
Yeah. So now the first week of selection, which I like to call admin week, which is where you do all your gates. Were there any challenges there for you? Did you have any issues?
No. The only thing, you know, I've always hated running.
Yeah.
You know, it's boring to me.
Yeah.
You know, I've always not been a great runner. That's probably about the only challenges thing there. You know, selection's not that hard until you get to team week.
Yeah.
That's where you start seeing the guys that actually can gut it out.
Yeah.
You know, because that stuff really showed, I think, when we started getting to, looking back now, when you get in Afghanistan, when you got a 131-pound rucksack on your back, you got 60-pound worth of kit on. You know, we did SRs before we had to wear body armor the whole time. You know, then you're having 200-pound resupply bags that you're operating at 600,000 feet above. You know, there comes a certain point to where you've got to mentally be focused and be able to mentally get through it, because it sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So as you're going through selection, what was going through your mind? So you got done with the week, the first week, the second week. Now you're in team week.
I took it like, you know, like I said before, you know, some days, whether it's just in life, you go through trials and tribulations in life or whatever it may be. Some days you got. A lot of people will say, "Hey, how you doing day to day?" But some people don't really know what that really honestly means.
Yeah.
Do you honestly know what it means to live day to day, where you can just make it through the day? And if you make it through the day, you're like, all right, now I can get into tomorrow. Hopefully I can just make it through that day.
Yeah.
Have you ever been that low in your life, or physically you're going through something physically to where, you know, or make it meal to meal. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you got to do to challenge yourself, or, you know, put those goals in front of you so you can make it through the day. Because sometimes we're like, man, if I could just make it to lunch, you know, type thing. And that's where, you know, you're at in selection. You know, all right, if I can just make it to the next point to where they put some more suck on you, you know, throw 4 more, you know, ammo cases on you with more lashings and pole, you know, metal poles and stuff. But anyways, it's a big mental preparation for it. And like I said, I think, you know, wrestling, playing sports and stuff like that had a lot to do with it. Yeah, and knowing that I've never quit nothing, but I failed at things, but I've never quit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like the first time I went through pre-scuba. You know, probably the first time I went through pre-scuba was the first time I ever quit something, because there was no way in the world I just couldn't get it, the treading water down, and trying to pass the clump around in a circle and sitting there going down and up and down. It was, you know, it was the hardest thing I ever done in my life. Yeah, you know.
Trust me, you're not the only one that's gone through all of that. So now, do you remember how many guys you had at your selection class, and you remember how many were selected?
Man, I couldn't even begin to tell you.
I got you.
I don't know, but you know, it's at team weeks where they start dropping like flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you make it all the way through the end. Did you guys do like the selection ceremony where they split the class and then they try to?
Yeah, I remember them doing something like that. Yeah. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, I cannot remember. I think I went to selection in 97.
Oh, I got you.
I remember spending Thanksgiving in selection.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you get selected. How was that feeling like? Because leading up to that point, you're an E5. You've been in the Army now for what? 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 4 years.
Yeah. So how was that sense of accomplishment?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
That was. I can remember that feeling. Yeah, that was an awesome feeling just to get selected. It was a really awesome feeling. And I had Chan Bale was the person that he. It's kind of weird, kind of funny, but he was the guy that actually did my out process and our out brief for selection. He was like the last guy to hire me as my last job as a first sergeant at Sajif Bragg.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know what I'm saying? He hired me. Yeah. If you don't know Chan Bale, then you wouldn't understand what I'm saying. But he was a straight shooter. You know what I'm saying? He had a poker face, but he loved combatives. You know, he was a soldier. But I thought he was a great sergeant major. Some people have problems with him, but that's probably because you weren't doing your job. Because he never said anything to me. As long as you were doing your job, he never said nothing to you. Yeah,
and that's what it comes down to. So now, what MOS did you get in what language? Did you
Echo and French.
Echo and French. Gotcha. If you had any advice for any of these younger guys watching us now, as far as selection goes, what would that advice be for the 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old that's currently prepping for selection? If you had any advice for those guys.
I would say, make sure your physical training program pushes you, pushes you to the limits. Because if it's the same team week that I went through, you're going to be pushed past your limits.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you're mentally tough to get pushed to those limits and just keep going even more. Work with a heavy rucksack. Switch between maybe at least a 55-pound rucksack to say an 80-pound rucksack. Switch between those two, and push at least once a week or something like that with the proper rest afterwards. But once a week, push yourself beyond your physical limits, because you need to know where you can push your body to.
Yeah.
Because you'll find out there, especially if you go through some of the spring months when it's a little hotter.
Yeah.
Because I know we had a guy that he went down. I want to say there's been a couple of deaths.
Yeah.
From selection.
Yeah, they have been.
Yeah.
I ran into a group of guys last week at the gym, and there was a bunch of X-rays, and they all fell, and they went through in August, and they had a couple of guys pass out. I was like, holy moly, man, that's ridiculous. So now, did you start the Q course immediately after because you were stationed here, so you just had to clear and then start?
Yeah,
the Q course?
Let me see. I was in during Thanksgiving, so I got selected in I think it was in December, and I reported in May.
Okay.
May of '98.
Gotcha.
Yeah, May of
Gotcha.
'98.
How was the Q course for you? Any challenges there?
SUT was, it was just like going to the field, as 11 Bravo, you know what I'm saying? I had a really great instructor from 5th group. It was just, good training, you know what I'm saying? Good PT. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoyed doing it. My MOS phase, we had Morse code at that time. To be honest, Morse code was the hardest part of the Q course, in my opinion, because I actually recycled it.
Yeah, because I had Mike Clark here not too long ago, and he recycled Morse code too. It was like 6 months, wasn't it?
Yeah. At one time it was 13-13. You had to send and receive 13, and then it was 13 and 13 when I failed, but I had 10-10, and then next class, guess what they went to? 10-10. I was so mad. But
oh, man.
But yeah, I think the PT they would break it off on us.
Yeah.
And during the Echo course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you went. I think you went through around the same time Mike Clark might have went through, because he said he had a guy that would run them to the ground.
Well, they always. I don't know what it is. It's just I don't know. It's always the Echoes always were known for doing some really horrendous PT.
Well, because you guys have the heaviest rucks. So
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So now you get done with the Q course. When did you get to 3rd group, and how was the initial, I guess, introduction to a no shit special operation group?
Yeah, I got there. Was it November 2020? And Sergeant Major Abel and Chris and Colonel Phelan were the command group. And I met, Abel. We called everybody governor. He was talking about, I don't know, some team with long hair in Africa or something like that. It was really funny, but it was I don't know. It was just, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like everyday work type. It was chill. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't stressful in no means at the time. But I was actually getting custody of my first son at that time. So
Gotcha.
I got put in the SIGDET, because of it. So there, which was no problem because I got to learn the radios that I didn't have in the Q course, which is, got to learn radios, more stuff like that. Because, you got to know how to do your job once you get to a team. So it was a good experience, really, honestly.
Now, have you always been in 1st Battalion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, until I got blown up. Then I went to, when we first stood up the ops det.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
In 2006.
Gotcha.
Got moved there. Yeah, to just to help out.
Now, was it 1st Battalion Charlie Company? Is that what you started off?
No, ACO.
ACO. I gotcha.
I was on 1-2.
1-2. Oh, so you started off on 1-2.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Well, I was on 1-0 when we went in Afghanistan. I went from the SIGDET to 1-0, and then 1-2 didn't have an echo. So anytime they went out on an op,
gotcha,
I went with them. So basically, I was just on.
Gotcha.
Basically, went on 1-2 during that deployment. I stayed on that team.
I remember when I first got to the team to 1-2 because I did my team song time there. We looked at the logo, and till this day, some of the guys still text me and ask me. They're like, "Hey, what does all in means?" And I'm like,
I think that was a Mike Beecher thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I don't know. It's got
the poker term.
Yeah, I was like, poker maybe?
Yeah.
Then I asked around. Some more guys were like, no, there's a deeper meaning to that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave that at that. All right,
I don't know. It wasn't that when we had mountaineering.
Oh, the mountain goat.
Yeah. No, it was not even that. It was just a basic. I think it just said 312 Special Operations Mountaineering. It was just a real basic
logo.
It didn't even have an emblem. It was just some words.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, all it was is the SF emblem with the 312 on it. That was it.
I gotcha.
It was just basic.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They changed it up.
It's been through a bunch. It's been through a bunch of revisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks good now, though. It looks good. So now you get to 1-2. Did you do? Well, I guess since you went to the SIGDET, you didn't have to do all the new guy stuff once you got to an actual team, or did you still have to go through all the shenanigans that new guys go through?
Well, when I got, we were in combat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So really, it was. I didn't experience none of that stuff.
I gotcha. Now, do you remember where you were when 9/11 happened? I know General Glenn. I was talking to him. And
I was.
Vividly.
They were doing Red Cycle at the time, and I was at the BOP. That was when we still had the doing HF and doing shots from Africa. So the old DMDG that took in the messages sent from Africa. And so I was out at the BOP when 9/11 happened.
9/11 happens. You remember what the mood in third group was like?
Oh, everybody was like, we're going to war.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was about it. You had some guys were fixing to go to JSETs. Over to Africa. I think one was like Guinea or something.
Yeah.
And guys stopped training for it. They stopped, doing whatever for it. And they thought they were going to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And they did. And they went to Guinea, and the other JSITs that they had. In fact, I think it was some team sergeants that got in trouble for it. Because they thought it was the JSITs were going to get canked because they were all going,
to the war and going to Afghanistan. Yeah. Now at that point, were you, because you mentioned when 1-2 was doing work, you would go with them. So were you on 1-2 at that point, or were you still with the SIGDET?
At what point?
Once 9/11 took place and you guys were getting ready.
Yeah,
to,
I was.
to,
Yeah,
to
I
go
was
to
at
war.
SIGDET when 9/11 happened, and then after it happened, I got moved to Alpha Company, and that we was on the B team at the time. Deployed, got over to Kabul.
Okay.
And went over to KMTC. And we were the first people that went into KMTC, and that's when anytime 1-2 left, I went with them.
I gotcha.
And then
Gotcha.
the team sergeant at the time, he's like, "Hey, I'd like to have him on my team," and the sergeant said, "It's fine."
Okay, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So now, how was your stay on 1-2? How was your Afghanistan rotation?
It was
How
awesome,
was all
man.
that for you?
I mean, that first trip was, it was Cowboys and Indians.
Yeah.
You did whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think nothing would ever top that first trip.
No.
You know what I'm saying? It was just great. You know, we were still using Tacomas, you know, with the 240s on top. You know, we didn't have a big IED threat at that time. You know what I'm saying? It was mostly, you know, direct fire.
Yeah. This is 2001, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, 2001.
Yeah, because IED just didn't really become a thing. Shoot, even in Iraq, where it was the heaviest, it wasn't until like 2004, 2005-ish.
Yeah. You figure same thing in Afghanistan, because 2005 is when I got blown up.
Yeah.
I think 2004 is when we lost Rob Moguson and Eggers and Bruce Price. That was Bruce wasn't an IED incident. That was actually a direct fire engagement. But Rob and him, that was an IED. So same thing about 2004. But that first trip, you know, you didn't have to worry about IEDs. So I mean, heck, there were times I didn't roll with a back plate. Yeah. Because it couldn't fit in those Tacomas. It couldn't move around at all in the back seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, leading up to that point, what's your, I guess are you enjoying what you're doing? Because now you're at war and people are, you're starting to lose buddies to your left and to your right. How is that mindset starting to shift? Were you still enjoying yourself? Were you still,
we was still enjoying.
Yeah.
I loved it. You know, so like I said, you know, it's just, there's something about, you know, that whole adrenaline, you know, just being an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're always, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
You know, I can't explain it no any other way.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like you said, it's a drug. You know, sometimes you ask, some people say, "Why'd you go back?" And I'm like, well, to be blunt, you know, I'm looking for that high.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I love what I do. I love the guys. It's just not one reason. You know, I'm still serving my country. You know, and because I don't know, you just have this inner drive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To do it. You're kind of just drawn to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
that makes a lot of sense because we both know that not everyone could do this job. Right. We've seen throughout our military careers, we've seen guys that's gotten selected, that's gotten to the Q course, that's deployed, and then when they're faced with that,
freeze up.
Yeah, they freeze up. So it definitely takes a special type of person to do the job.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you got blown up. Could you talk us through what took place the day you got injured, and then we'll talk about how you overcame it, and then eventually went back to serving.
It was 2005. I was on 3-5 at this time because they stood up all the 6 teams again.
Yeah.
So this was a new dive team that stood up, and a lot of us were all senior guys on there, which was a good thing. You know, standing up a new team sucks because you get all the crappy combo equipment. You get, you know, it just sucks. But it was a good team. You know, we had a lot of good guys on that team. They had a really good team sergeant, Guy Valquette. I had a lot of respect for him. But yeah, we had a really good team, and this was my 3rd trip. When we first got to Afghanistan, we were part of the CRIF, us and 3-6. In fact, it was when the Red Wings incident went down. So we were actually stood up. We were fixing to get on the 47s to go get, I can't remember his name. The guy, he was
Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah, because he was shot in the butt, and then the farmer had come in and said, "Hey, I got him in this village." It's like that movie. It's just a whole lie.
Yeah,
the end of that movie is a pure fabrication.
Is it now?
Yeah, it's stupid, man.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? That's not the way it happened.
So, without putting anybody on blast, could you elaborate on what actually took place from your perspective? Because you were in country when that incident took place. Or put people on blast. I don't really care. I just want the truth.
Yeah. Well, basically, I'm sure anybody would agree with this. They shouldn't have went in there with just them.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a company-sized mission with partner force.
Yeah.
Where they were at.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
But we got the fast ropes. We were fixing to get on. I think it was 247s. We were actually rolling out there. We were actually getting on the bird, to go get Latrell out, and he's like, stand down. And he was like, well, what's going on? And I was like, let's go, type thing, freaking hyped up, ready to, go get him. And they said, hey, they think there was a surface-to-air missile that brought down one of the 47s. Mm-hmm. So that's when guys from B-23, I think it's some Rangers, walked in and got Latrell and got him out.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Yeah, you don't ever, hear about, guys like Kent Solheim, stuff like that, went and walked in and got him out. That's why I say that, that the whole end of that movie is
it's a fabrication.
It's a lie.
Now, did Major Solheim get injured on that?
No, he got shot in Iraq.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, he got shot. He got shot in Iraq through I think it was through the thigh, and it nicked the sciatic nerve. So he was having some really bad nerve pain. In fact, we were roommates at the Malone house.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I just had my leg amputated, and he just had a nerve graft done or something. He's moaning in pain. I'm moaning in pain. That's when we got to know each other, because he's known as Captain America.
Yeah,
with his hair and everything.
Dude, I remember the first time I met him. Yeah. This is 2012. At this point, he's the company commander in 4th Battalion, and my team at that time, 3-3, we got attached to him to go do commandos, and we would do this PT event called 6 and 6, where we ruck out 6 miles and then we run back 6 miles. We take the ruck off. And we invited him to come out and do it with us. And it was him and my team leader. He's a blonde-haired dude. My other team leader, he looks identical, but he's a brunette. You know what I mean? And I remember...
Who was it?
Alex Newsom.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So now we're doing the 6 and 6, and I just finished the Q course, so I was in good shape, So I'm like, I'm a new guy. I'm going to crush this thing, right? So I'm hauling ass, and I'm trying to do the best that I can, right? And out of nowhere comes Major Solheim, and he's injured at this point. He has his prosthetic on.
Running leg on.
And, dude, he just blew
he's
past me.
He's a stud, man.
Oh,
he's
dude.
a freaking stud, man.
I was like, what in the world?
Well, I was the one that told him, because I did the elective amputation, because I held on my almost 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I told him, I was like, and I knew, because he was like a triathlete.
Yeah.
He was very active. I was like, cut it off, man.
Yeah.
Cut it off. Because I've convinced 3 guys.
Yeah.
Him, Luis Morales, and my good buddy, he was a team sergeant for 1-2. No, I'm sorry. 2, is it 2-3? When we had the blue on green incident.
Yeah.
Nick Lavery got
Nick. Yeah.
Owen Lawler.
Owen Lawler. Yeah. 3-6.
Yeah. Because he was basically cutting toes off at that point. I was like, and just cut it off, man.
Yeah.
Because there comes a certain point where you're putting up with pain all the time. Mm-hmm. Do I still have pain? Yes, I still have chronic pain. I deal with nerve pain, neuronal pain. It's god awful.
Yeah.
But it was just a boat anchor. My leg was 70% skin graft. Mm-hmm. I had a gastroc flap where they detach one of your calf muscles, take it and sew it to the side of your leg, because I had an open femur fracture. Yeah. And it looked like a perfect circle outside my leg. I had 70 degrees range of motion because the joint was just garbage. I was 281 when they cut my leg off. I was just fat.
Yeah.
I was just a fat bastard.
Yeah.
But I was depressed because, it's just, when your life, you go from one point in your life to where you're loving life, and within not even a half a second, you go to where you're hating life. Your life has changed within the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All because of that IED changed everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it was what drove me at the same time.
Yeah.
But once I got rid of that,
you were good to go.
I got a lot of my pain. I was actually able to be more mobile. I could do things more. Lost a lot of weight because I was able to get off some of the medications and stuff like that. Because some of those medications, man, they'll put the weight on you.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that you got injured the same day as the Red Wing incident. So what actually happened?
Well, not that same day, just same trip.
Okay, I got you.
Same trip. So after about 2 months, they basically said, "All right, no more CRIF or whatever you want to call it." So many names, they change it all the time. So we went up to Firebase Cobra, which became Tinsley.
Yeah.
It was from a 7th group team leader that got killed there, rotation or 2 later. And we were going to meet, I think it was, 2-1, I believe it was. Yeah, 2-1 was up there. So we got our marching orders, went up there, started building part of the fire base there with the other team there. And it was the year of the elections. So we were supposed to go with this guy that was a UN guy who used to be in the British para unit, and we were going to go take him up to one of the polling sites to inspect it. And that was the day that I got blown up that morning.
Now, can you talk through the actual incident? Like, were you guys patrolling? Were you guys engaged?
No, we were mounted, and if anybody knows anything about a ruse gun, you gotta be mounted to go anywhere. And it's always historically been a heavily IED, place in that area. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But I think we left out about sunrise, and then I remember we had to stop. We were waiting for our partner force. I think it was the A&A were coming to us. Well, we were there like for 2 hours just waiting. Looking back on it now, it was just a sit-up. They were laying the IED in. And I was the first truck in the order of movement. It was me, my team leader, Sam Robbins, Brian Hotchkiss was on the gun, and then I had a CA major, which I've always wanted to find a CA major and just talk to him because he's the only guy I've never talked to. I've actually tried to search him out and ask some CA people, hey, who is this guy? Because I'd like to meet him, what I'm saying?
What's his name,
I don't know. That's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, hopefully somebody out here watched this. And they'll be able to
maybe.
Put you in link
But we were just, and we had one of the Turks with us, and we were just traveling up beside the riverbed, and next thing I know, after the 2-hour stop, the next thing I know is just, I can't even describe the noise. It was so loud it's deafening at the same time, if that makes sense. And then as soon as it went off, the first thing in my mind was like, please God, don't let me die. Because I knew exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I knew it was an IED. I remember I wasn't wearing my helmet. I was wearing my iPro. I don't think I had my Peltors on. I remember just being kind of almost like an out-of-body experience, being tossed about in the vehicle. It's kind of like slow-mo, and then the vehicle come to rest, and because I was just being tossed all about in it, and I smelled this smell of explosive, and then I could see, but my vision was very blurred, but I could see just this thick gray smoke billowing up from the middle of the vehicle, and you could just taste it in your mouth. That smoke was so thick, it's almost like you could cut it with a knife. And I couldn't get my thoughts together. You know what I'm saying? I just couldn't and I was trying to see, but I couldn't see. It was almost like double, quadruple vision. Everything was just blurry. And I was thinking to myself, because I thought about Rob Mogus and those guys, the vehicle burnt, you know. I was like, I gotta get out of this vehicle before maybe it's on fire or something. So I got the fished for the door handle, it opened somehow, and then I knew my right leg felt like numb, you know, like it just felt numb. I couldn't feel it. I knew there was something wrong with it, and I was just thinking, I was like, please God, let my leg still be there. Let my leg still be there. So I got out. I kind of stood up, but kind of basically leaning up against the back of the GMV, and I looked down and I saw my boot, and I was like, all right, thank you, Lord, thank you. But I couldn't really walk. My vision was still like really blurred. All I could see was green where the cornfield was at and everything. Yeah, it's kind of funny. You know, I wasn't even thinking about any gunfire or anything.
Yeah.
You know, it's just because you can't think.
Yeah.
You know, it's so I see Derek Coyne was a medic on the team, and I was trying to walk, but I was leaning up against the GMV kind of at the same time. And I remember him, you know, running up. It was blurry. And he said, I'm coming, Mikey. And then he said, he was like, what can I do? And he said, and I was like, get this body armor off him. He was like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And I had to just, I went to Sephardic before that trip, and I fell in love with the Paraclete body armor.
Yeah.
So I actually bought me a Paraclete body armor set before that trip, and I, you know, pulled the quick release on it. And he laid me down. He just, you know, started to go to work on me. And first thing he did was, I think he put my body armor down, and I laid on it. And that CA major, he come up. He's like, "What can I do?" He's like, "Hey man, just sit there and talk to him." So he kind of like, there's actually a picture. He's like, I'm laying down, and he's kind of laid down beside me, and he's kind of like got his arm around me.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But I remember Derek, he put 4 fentanyl lollipops in my mouth, right? And I start crunching on him. And he was like, "You're not supposed to crunch them. Stop it." I was like, "Well, how the hell am I supposed to know? I've never been blown up." You know, so it's kind of funny. You know, you have this kind of a chuckle in the midst of a, you know, serious, you know, situation. And I remember my team sergeant, you know, he come up to me, guys, like, "Hey, Mike, you know, hey, just hang on 30 more minutes. You know, the medevac will be here." So, you know, I'm just waiting, kind of, you know, for it to come. And then about 30 minutes pass by, and a guy comes up to me. He's like, "Mikey," he's like, "You got to wait 30 more minutes, man." Because, see, there was no medevac rings back then. There was a bird there before, but it had left like the month prior, I think, there at TK. So there was no that golden hour set up really everywhere. So I had to come all the way from Kandahar. And, you know, you got to wait for the Apaches to warm up. So you have the armed escort. So it took like an hour to get there, and then an hour back.
Oh, wow.
All right. Yeah. So, he put a tourniquet around my leg. Well, he didn't know my right leg was broke. Cause it was broke. My right eye was blown out of socket. It was actually, I remember like touching it, cause it was like out to here, you know, it was, you know, like on a avulsion, it was protruding. And I was like, "Derek," I was like, "Give me some water." He's like, because that's what we're going to do. I was like, "Give me some water so I can wash out my eyes," you know, because that gunk was still in my eyes.
Yeah.
So I used the water to get it out of my eyes. And then I was like, "Derek," I was kind of touching. I was like, "Derek, there's something wrong with my eye." He was looking at me. I could tell by the way he was looking at me that something was wrong. And he was like, "Stop touching it." I was like, "Well, there's something." I was like, "Something's wrong." He's like, "Stop touching it." So I stopped touching it. And then he put the tourniquet on my leg right away. And every time he cranked on my tourniquet, I scream out in bloody murder, man. It hurt so bad. I can't even describe the pain, but because the leg was broken. But when my femur broke, it cut my femoral artery. So I was bleeding out from the get-go. And my left lung was partially collapsed. So he's trying to tighten it so that, you know, it stops bleeding. But every time he turns that tourniquet, I'm screaming, you know, and I'm begging. I was like, Derek, please don't loosen it. He just looked at me. He said, Mikey, I can't. He's like, I can't do it. But it just, and I found out one time when I did my testimony at church afterwards, Jeff Daugherty, he's like, Mike, he's like, we didn't just have one tourniquet on your leg. He's like, your legs are so big, we had to have 4 tourniquets on your leg.
Yeah.
And he's like, we still couldn't stop the bleeding. But there was, I guess they caught the guy. There was a command detonated. He was out in the riverbed. They called him. They pucked some other guys. And that guy was, every time I'd scream out in pain, he'd laugh. And one of the guys, he did it, and he rolled up to him, and then he started beating living daylights out of him.
Yeah.
You know, he pulled him off of him. But as I remember when I was laying there, Brian, I remember his pants were torn all the way from like his crotch all the way down, and he was bending over. He's like, you know, grimacing in pain. He'd get up, follow the wire, follow the wire. And he'd bend over in pain. He'd like, follow the wire, follow the wire. And I remember the A&A, they grabbed the wire and they, you know, got it, traced it out, and the guy was just still laying out there.
Yeah.
And they pucked him.
Yeah.
But and I remember he come up, my team sergeant, you know, after about 30, 40 minutes, he was like, Mike, you know, 30 more minutes. And I thought I was dead. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I was scared. And I told Derek, I was like, tell Paul all over, you know, my wife at the time. But yeah, I didn't think I was gonna make it.
Yeah.
And then I could hear the birds coming, and I could see the Apache circling, and I could hear the medevac landing in the riverbed, and Sam's put in there, you know, my team leader's in there, and I get put in there. I think the Turp was in there too. But I remember the battalion surgeon, I asked him, I was like, how long was the flight? He said about 60 minutes. And that's when I was like, yeah, I'm dead. You know?
Now you're thinking this as you're...
I'm thinking, I was like, there's no way I'm making it. I'm not making it, you know. And he's putting some Versed in my line. You know, they know it's like a mind eraser. Because I was still awake, I guess, but I don't remember nothing.
Yeah.
You know, because they said I was... they said when I got to the flight line... I guess I was in a lot of pain, and some guys were talking to me, but I don't remember none of that. Once he put that, you know, I don't think the last thing I remember was just grabbing Sam's hand and just holding it until in Germany I heard, "Hey baby, I'm here to take you home," because they flew my wife over to Germany, because they didn't think I was gonna make it. Yeah. I guess I had used up all the blood in Kandahar. Some guys had to come in and give blood, because I had used so much of it up. Yeah. In fact, I was in the hospital one time, about a year afterwards maybe. I was having a surgery for something. I had my shirt off, and the nurse recognized me by my tattoos. And she's like, when did you get hurt? When did you get blown up? I was like, July 31st, 2005. She was like, oh my God. She's like, I can't believe you're alive. I was like, what? She's like, I worked on you. Yeah. She was like, there's this other guy that would love to come talk to you and see you, because he sat by your bed till they take you. I was like, yeah, because, you know, I mean, you want to talk to somebody, just, you know what happened, because like I said, you don't remember all that stuff. I was in a drug-induced coma for 3 days. Yeah. You know, and he come out there and see me. He's like, man, I can't believe you're alive. He's like, they couldn't stop the bleeding. He's like, they almost amputated your leg there in Kandahar. He's like, you're just leaking like a sieve. Because they did they took one of the Safford's veins. I can't remember what it's called, but to basically patch, you know, the artery from our artery that was ruptured, you know, torn open. Yeah. So Yeah.
So what's going through your mind at this point? Because you mentioned that you thought you were dead. I mean, that's an experience that I don't think a lot of people can relate to. So you're getting on the bird and you realize, oh man, this is it. Like, how are you? Like, are you, saying your prayers? Are you, like, what's going through your head? Like,
No, I mean,
yeah,
no, I'm just, I think when you get, there's not a lot to think about.
Yeah.
You can't, because it's the moment that's overcome you, I guess, to the point to where you can't think,
yeah,
lucidly. You're just, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I definitely weren't saying my prayers, but I know I'm here by the grace of God.
Yeah.
I know I'm here because I shouldn't be here.
yeah,
I'm here when, it's sometimes I ask God, I'm like, why me and not somebody else?
Yeah.
Because, you bury so many guys through the years, and you see the carnage of war, torn apart families, been to so many memorials that you can't go to no more.
yeah,
But it's like, why me?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing, man. I know it's not easy reliving
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when I first got to Walter Reed and got out of ICU, because the first 2 months I run 103 temperature for 2 months straight, because I had an infection in my bone, I had it in my blood, and I had it in my tissue. Is that Acetobacter? A lot of blast guys get it, but I was on every pinium out there, and vancomycin and all the big guns when it comes to infectious disease that uses for infection. But man, I would rip the sheet off, man. I'd be butt naked, you know what I'm saying? I had a Foley in and everything, but I was so burning up with fever for 2 months straight, 103, sometimes I got 104, they were just trying their best to get the infection under control. So it was, the first 2 months was pretty awful.
Yeah.
And then once I was a lot more lucid and getting sleep, because I had nightmares every time I go to sleep, I'd wake up.
Was it just reliving that?
Oh,
incident?
I relived it. It was just, yes, I relived every moment of it, every second. It was just like it happened all over again.
Yeah.
And I remember one time this one guy, he come in, he was fixing something in the room, and he had like a tray of tools, and he accidentally dropped it, and it was like, boom, like the IED just went off again, because it made a really loud sound. I couldn't even watch, this is how crazy it was. It's like, I could only watch cartoons. I couldn't watch any violence on TV. I couldn't watch the news. I couldn't watch anything, any loud sounds. It would trigger me, and I would start crying. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I even to this day, I'll jump at sounds and stuff. I can't help it. But that first year was pretty bad. Even that first 6 months, it was awful. I even to this day, I get nervous when there's a balloon in the room.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. So now you go through Walter Reed. Now, did you still have the leg leading up to that?
Yeah, I still
point?
had it. I was what's called a limb salvage.
Yeah.
I had it for 2 years. I tried different operations, tissue expanders. They got infected. One time I got sepsis. Because I battled MRSA. I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
Probably 10 or more times. I've had, with all the procedures, washouts, and all that stuff, I've probably had close to 100 surgeries.
God,
you know what I'm saying? Just through the years.
Yeah.
Just everything.
How do you mentally go through all that, man? Like, how do you...
Well, I tell you, in between the time the injury and then having my leg amputated, because I had a bunch of failed surgeries that were trying to correct this. I actually got split from my hip all the way down here to where they go in and where the fascia's at and try to loosen it up, all the scar tissue. That failed. I had 2 tissue expanders in, failed. Everything I tried failed. I mean, it's when I was, the only person I can attribute to is to the Lord. When I was over the Atlantic, I still didn't know if I was going to live or die.
Yeah.
You know, I had a flight surgical team with me, and my heart rate and my blood pressure was through the roof, even on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew if I died, I was going to hell.
Why do you say that?
Because I was not a believer. You know, I was
Yeah.
not a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and at the same time, me getting blown up is the best thing that happened to me at the same time, because that's when the Lord saved me over the Atlantic. You know, that's when Christ came into my life. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a pastor now. You know, and but you know, it's just even the evil things that happens in your life,
Mm-hmm.
God uses them for his purposes. Even everything I've been through, it's done nothing but, you know, it's done two things. One, it's made me a lot mentally tougher to know what I can go through spiritually and physically.
Mm-hmm.
Then also, you know, I understand what other people are going through, so I have more empathy for other people and understanding, you know, their struggles that they go through in life, and say, hey, listen, I know what you're going through. I might not know all the details, but I understand the emotions that you're going through, you know. So, you know, just because a lot of people, because I was at a point where I was depressed. Did I ever think about suicide? Yeah, I did. A few times.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's just, you come to a point where you don't see no light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
You know, you're just, you know, when you go from being a barrel-chested, knuckle-dragging freedom fighter,
Yeah.
to being nothing, you know, laying in the bed, you know, you're just totally broken.
Identity stripped.
Yeah, you're exactly. I even say that.
Yeah.
I lost my identity as a man, as a provider, you know, as a soldier, but more importantly, you know, as a man. And the thing that I did that provided for my family is taken away from me, and that's hard for
Mm-hmm.
for I would say most men, at least
Yeah.
it should be, because of what men do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're protectors of our families. We're protectors of our communities also. You know, we're there for our children, you know, to mentor them and to help rear them. You know, providing for our families, our wives, you know, stuff like that. You know, it was hard.
So, Mike, what advice would you have for somebody that's currently going through this right now, or that's, you know, later on down the road might find themselves in a similar situation? I know fate plays a big part of it for you, but what other advice would you have for those individuals?
Have somebody to talk to. That's one of the biggest things. Because a lot of times, you just need to get it off your chest.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? With suicide, you don't see there's an end to your situation type thing. And just talking to, I'm big into talk therapy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a big, you know, I think medication has its place, but you can't be on something for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? It you know, not to go
It's
down
a Band-Aid, essentially.
Yeah, not to go down a rabbit hole with that one, and a whole different, you know, discussion on that is, but yeah, talk therapy is probably the best thing out there. Have somebody that you know that you trust, that, you know, they're not gonna, you know, be a news toter. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of that stuff can be very personal.
Yeah.
But somebody that you trust and have, you know, respect for and stuff like that, and have somebody to talk to, because with suicide, you don't, you know, we had suicides in third group, man, and it's just, you don't know. You're like, when you hear about it, you're like, no way.
Yeah.
I
And it's dudes that we know, that we've run and done
absolutely,
with too.
yeah. I remember Kenny, I can't remember, he was a dog handler in third group.
Yeah.
Kenny Wilson.
Yeah. Awesome reputation too.
Yeah, I would have never thought.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He had made the E8 list. You know, I would have never. Yeah. And then there was another one from the old 3-6, Nate Hordovich.
Yeah.
I'm like, when I heard that, I was like, no way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think what you're doing by coming on here speaks volume, because a lot of the guys are going through a lot of pain, and they have, well, I guess society has put up this wall, this stigma, and impose it on us as, hey, we're supposed to be these barrel chested, freedom fighters, and we can't talk, we can't share, and that's not the case at all.
We're still flesh and blood.
Yeah.
And, I even tell my boys, it's like, hey man, you're a man. It's okay to cry. Cry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Hold it in. It ain't gonna do nothing for you. It's all it's gonna do is make it worse.
Exactly.
I mean, you still got feelings.
Yeah.
We're still human beings. We still want to be loved. We still want, just the basic things in life.
Yeah.
So
now you made the decision to get the knee amputated. Where are you at this point? Are you still in the military? Or you?
No, I wanted to go to 25. I wanted to make sergeant major. I'd made E8. But I hit a wall, to be honest. I guess you're going 100 miles an hour all the time. I just hit a wall. I was so burned out. I was like, I'm done.
So now is that after the amputee, or did you amputate and went back?
I had the amputation. And then a year later, I actually graduated Jumpmaster School.
Yeah.
And I was the first amputee to graduate Jumpmaster School in the Army.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Afghanistan in January 2010.
Yeah, there's a picture circulating around of you.
Yeah,
I remember it.
And that wasn't even what it was meant to be. It was kind of a joke. A friend had sent it to me. He had made it a little meme, and sent it to me. He was a civilian guy, but he was in the Coast Guard one time. But he always emails me stuff like that. Even this day, a guy named Mark Kelikowski, really good dude. But he sent it to me, and I was like, you know what, that's funny. So I changed the bottom up a little bit, and I sent it to like a couple people. Next thing I know, it's all over the damn internet.
So now what's good? And I'm just trying to wrap my head around this, right? So you just went through all the trauma. You dealt with the pain. You made the decision to get rid of the leg itself. And now not only are you back on active duty, but you're at your jump master, which jump master is not an easy school. JMPI, that jump master circle.
I was
PWAC.
so sore every day. When I woke up in the morning, I could barely move. I'd pop a Motrin.
Yeah.
It was my best friend.
So you do that, and not only do you graduate jump master, now you're deployed back to the same place where you got injured. So what was that process? I guess the mindset of, not only am I going to, beat the a mental wanting to commit suicide, beat the physical, being 200 plus pounds and getting back into shape. Not only am I going to do that, but now I'm going to continue my career and deploy and keep fighting. Like, how was that process?
Well, I just it's like when I was going through because I met a lot of resistance. I had a lot of support. When I went through Jumpmaster School, I know the battalion sergeant major at that time, Pat Medford. He didn't want me to go through Jumpmaster School because he was. So I found out about this conversation like 2 years after the fact.
Yeah.
So I run into Dave West. He was the NCOIC of the Jumpmaster course, and I ran into him in the commissary, and he told me the whole backstory on there. Because the first day, when you take the nomenclature test and everything, they were like, "Sergeant First Class Fairfax, hey, battalion, you're supposed to go to battalion, see the battalion commander." So I go in there. It's the battalion commander. It's the company sergeant major. It was Cassius Williams, Dave West, Pat Medford, and I can't remember if there was somebody else in there. And they said, hey, and this is what he said to me. He's like, it's not a requirement to jump in Jumpmaster School. He's like, you're going to do everything else the students do except jump. Because I had already jumped, did a jump in down in Autech. It was a water jump, but it was my first jump after getting blown up, So I jumped down, did a water jump down in Autech down there in the Bahamas. A real water jump.
Yeah.
with caps and everything. But anyways, so I was like, okay, all right. I went, he's like, get back to class. So what I found out was in there was Medford didn't want me to go through Jump Master School.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, he's never going to be a team sergeant. He's never going to do this and that. And he said, he's like, he's never going to go back to a team with Dave West. Said, well, because we had an E9 from GSB that was in Jump Master School. He's like, you got a bunch of support MOSs, and there's never going to be an ODA. You got an E9 in there. It's never going to be on a ODA. He's like, why don't you just give him a chance?
Yeah.
He's like, well, you just don't need to go. He's like, just give him a chance. You know what I'm saying? Just give Mikey a chance.
Yeah.
Because he knew me from the Q course. He had a break in service,
mm-hmm.
and he had come back in, through the 18 Echo combo portion.
Yeah.
But so the battalion commander said, all right, you know what? I'm going to give him a chance to go. So I was met with resistance when I was going to go back to Afghanistan. There were certain people like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't. But you had guys over in CAG that were a couple of amputees that had been back, a BK and an AK.
Yeah, because you're AK, right?
Yeah, above the knee. Yeah.
Above the knee. Okay.
Yeah, that went back. In fact, the guy who I met, Brad Halling,
mm-hmm.
he had lost his leg in Mogadishu.
Yeah.
I'd met him before I had my leg amputated. I think it was my team sergeant had set me up with meeting with him at McKellar's Lodge. And I talked with him. He's like, you just need to figure out, you need to know what you can't do and what you can't do. He's like, anything mounted you can do. And he told me some stuff that he did, and then I was like, you know what? I was like, there's nothing more special about him than me.
Yeah.
I was like, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And that's when, I had the amputation done.
Yeah.
Because I had to get my identity back.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It was best thing I ever did was getting it cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was able to go back to some resemblance of my old life and
mm-hmm.
what I did. I didn't go back doing everything. There was no more humping 130-pound rucksacks or traversing, mountainous terrain. Yeah. But like Brad told me, it's like, hey, you can do anything mounted. I just figured out what I couldn't do. And, kind of let my pride and my ego know that there's certain things I can't do. Yeah,
and that's important, right? Because
you got to be real to yourself.
Yeah.
So you don't be a detriment to the team and,
mm-hmm.
and to everybody else.
Yeah.
And you got sometimes you got to swallow some humble pie.
Yeah. So at this point, were you? Because this was 2009 that you went back to.
Back to
Afghanistan.
Yeah, 2010.
2010. So you were down at Camp Brown.
No, we went to TK.
Yeah. I got you because I remember that deployment because I was with Chris Riga and
No,
right?
you're talking about the other one.
I got you.
I went on that one too. I did 2 back to back.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, because we were attached to first group.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then I come back a little early because my mother-in-law had a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back, and I was going to go back, but I needed an operation on my stump to have a revision done.
Yeah.
Because after a while, your muscles shrink,
mm-hmm.
and the skin's kind of flabby, and stuff like that. So it needs to be basically tightened up. Kind of like a tummy tuck, I guess, in a way. But they were like, hey, the word was they were going to get extended,
mm-hmm.
and they were like, just go ahead and have your operation and then come.
Gotcha.
So I had the operation done, and then they were like, all right, we're not getting extended. Just stay there. It ain't no sense in you coming over. So, I felt guilty. I was like, I missed, part of the, I think it was like the last 2 months, maybe 2.5 months of the deployment,
mm-hmm.
Coming back on that and doing the operation. So that was when y'all went over in, was it August of 2010.
Gotcha.
So ACO didn't have an E8 for the B team, so I volunteered to go.
Yeah.
So I went over that. That was a 10-month deployment. So I did 2 back to back.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you definitely got your identity back on that one.
Yeah.
I think you were the talk of the town at that point, man. Because leading up to that point, were there any other, at least third groupers that you know of that had gone through that trauma? That was, because I know you mentioned JSOC had some guys, but as far as third group goes, I think you might have been like the one of the first above the knee that's gotten injured, that's gotten back on duty and was actually deploying and actually working in Afghanistan at that point.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Because this is 2010. So this,
because Kent Solheim went back. I don't know what year was that. 2012.
No, 2012 was when I was attached to Major Solheim.
But
and is he a AK also, or
he's a BK below the knee?
Okay.
Yeah. So he's got that knee. That knee's that $1 million joint.
Yeah.
He can handle uneven terrain and stuff like that. So I don't mind being an amputee. I just wish I had a knee, man.
Yeah.
But I got this 2 years ago, almost 3 now. I had this what they call osseointegration surgery.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to wear a socket no more.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like, it's just boom. That's all. So it's been awesome because when I would get home, a lot of times I would just take my leg off and get in my wheelchair, and so I wasn't as active. Once I got this, man, I dropped down. I got down to 199. I ain't been 199 since the Q course.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and getting back in better shape. There ain't no running. Can't really run on this.
Yeah,
which is fine with me. It just
he didn't like running anyways.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah,
that's awesome, man. So now, talk me through going and making the decision to retire and the void that we all face whenever we get ready to separate, because you just gotten your identity back, and then now you're getting ready to lose it again, and how you or what you did to fill that void.
Well, I'll tell you, because I work with the Care Coalition, being an advocate, and some of the guys I work with, they're getting out after 20 years or more or whatever, and they're like, what am I going to do? I was like, hey man, I get it. I understand that you pour your heart and soul into an organization and everything you are, and now you're going to retire from it, and you're like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? That's the two hardest questions. Two hardest questions that somebody that 20 years plus getting out is like, where are you going to live, and what are you going to do with the rest of your life? Yeah, because you got to have some type of sense of purpose. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, or else you're probably going to die an early death. Yeah, I mean, really. Yeah. That's just the way God built us. You know what I'm saying? You just can't sit around doing nothing. You're going to deteriorate. Yeah. I had a hard time. I'll be honest with you. I had a really hard time because I poured my heart and soul into it, maybe more than others. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost
literally, because you had a chance to give it all up, but you rehabbed mentally and physically, and you went back at it. Yeah,
because it was almost like I had to reprove myself all over again. And I got to that point where I was tired of doing that. I had a problem retiring, and I remember one time I'd actually started crying on the way to work. I was like, what am I going to do with myself? What am I going to do with the rest of my life? A friend from the 82nd, guy named Tim Holloway, he hired me, working with a company he works with. But the first year is rough. Yeah. It's a big adjustment. You probably know what I'm talking. It's just, it's hard. You go from getting up at 4:30 every morning to go do PT and, to like, depending on what you do, like, all right, what time do I need to get up? Yeah. And I think the best advice I could tell anybody is like, don't change it. Yeah. If you've been getting up at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock every morning for 25 years, keep doing it. Yeah. Do not change that routine. Keep that same routine of doing PT, because a lot of retirees start to see health problems because you go from, think about it, you go from being active, you're always on the go, to doing nothing. Yeah. And then you go do something in the yard and you're sore for 3 days because you're not used to manual labor anymore or doing things. It's just to stay active, try to keep that same schedule, as in getting up in the morning and going doing some PT. Nobody says you got to do the things you used to do, because one, you're probably not going to be able to, because your joints and
everything hurts.
Yeah, there you go, right there. But there's still things you can do to stay in shape. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing I think advice I give somebody is keep that routine there, because routine's important. Structure, is important, because you'll be lost without it. Yeah. And find something that you want to do. you got your first chance within 20 years, or maybe some people 25, 30 years, to do actually what you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to go after and start a business, go try to start a business. If you want to start a podcast or something, start a podcast, but have a sense of purpose into something, because you want some type of fulfillment in things you do. Because I mean, I know you as I got a lot of fulfillment of what I did in the military, and nothing's gonna ever compare to it.
No,
never, because you will find monotony in life. There was no monotony being in special forces, because it was always something new. There was a new deployment. It was a new country we were going to. Maybe it was something, new piece of equipment you had to train on. Something. It was always something new. There was no monotony. There was no repetition in a way. But when you get out and you start working a job, go in at 9 o'clock, go to lunch at 12, come back at 1, get off at 5, Tuesday morning, rinse and repeat. Yeah. I mean, it gets old. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. A lot of retirees will go through a few jobs before they settle into one. I'm actually on my 3rd job. Yeah. Within 7 years. But that's the biggest piece of advice I give somebody that's about to retire is, keep that routine, keep that structure there, and then find something that you want to do. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard because nothing's going to compare you. Don't even try to compare it to being in the military and what you used to do. Okay. Yeah. If you're able to keep up, if you like shooting or doing 3-gun competition, whatever, keep doing that stuff. And that way that you still have a resemblance of what you used to do and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the best piece of advice that I got from you as my Care Coalition rep was, hey, make sure you have something lined up that you actually want to do, which is what prompted me to start doing this. So I appreciate that advice now more than ever, actually. Now, you mentioned that you are a pastor and you are a strong believer in God nowadays. Which is awesome because I think within our community, you don't see that a lot. So if you could talk to me about your faith a little bit, where you go to church and what you have going on in the church, and if anybody watching wants to go, that's around the area, how they can go about connecting.
I was going to Snyder Baptist there in off of Bragg Boulevard. It's a bigger Baptist church, and I enjoyed it there. I enjoyed the Sunday school class I had. They were older than me. I was probably the youngest one in there. Yeah. But it was just we were a real tight knit group. They're just really good people, and love them all. And then when COVID happened, it threw a monkey wrench in everything. Yeah. And because I loved, part of being, I think in a way, out of God's providence, being in SF raised me up to be like a mentor and a trainer and a teacher. You know what I'm saying? So I missed teaching scripture and going teaching people scripture. So I'd been praying probably for about a year and a half to the Lord. I was like, I really wanted to preach. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what God had called me to do. And this church down in Lumberton, it's in the woods. It's in it's called Beulah Baptist Church on Beulah Church Road in Lumberton. It's not in town or anything like that. It's it's in the country. It's a country, and their pastor had a stroke. So they ain't had anybody to preach for like a year. And then one Miss B, she had asked her son, was like, hey, I want to hear some preaching. And my brother, he stands in for people, preaching once in a while. And I was going through seminary, and he told him about me. So I met with one of the deacons, and so 2 years ago, it's been going on. It's almost 2.5 years that I've been there. I just feel like the Lord and His providence led me there, and so it's something I want to do. I eventually want to quit the one job work for Care Coalition. It's a very good job, but my heart's not totally in it. My heart's in in the church and preaching. Because I know that's what God's called me to do. And that's where I love reading it and studying it, and preaching it. And I really believe that the things that I've been through, you know, because you run into people in the church and they deal with medical stuff. Maybe they're dealing with cancer, the death of a loved one or something. All the things that I've been through in the Army and being blown up and stuff, you know, I'm not going to understand their situation totally, but I know that, you know, having empathy for it, that I can come alongside them, you know, in a time of need, because a lot of times people just need that, just to be there.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even have to say anything, you know, just to be there for somebody. You know, sometimes that's all they need. Sometimes, you know, someone to talk to get the stuff off their chest and be with them and pray with them and stuff like that. That's what they need. Because we all go through trials and tribulations in life, no matter whether you're a believer or not. You know, you got to have somebody to lean on.
That's awesome, man. So again, guys, if you're around the area and you need a place to go, and you'll be surprised, like a lot more, like recently, I found out like a lot more SF guys actually go to church than than we know.
And I think a lot, and you'll notice there's a lot of guys that become pastors from third group, and I think a lot of the war has had a lot to do with it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just like with COVID, when people are faced with their mortality, and they think about dying and like what happens after I die, it really gets you to thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because God's made us all eternal creatures. Yeah. We're going to spend eternity in one or two places. Yeah. You know, and that's what, you know, that's why I like preaching the gospel, because, you know, I had one foot on the banana peel and one in hell. I really did.
Yeah. I think a lot of us are all like that. So, but yeah, guys. So again, this was a sit down with Mike Fairfax. All right. Again, if you're getting ready to retire and you're on the Fort Bragg, or even not even around Fort Bragg, Care Coalition is available to you. If you need to go talk to somebody, like Mike mentioned, go talk to somebody. If you need to cry, right? Like, this is, your life and your health is way more important than you can ever think. And if you're looking for a place to go to church and you're around the Fort Bragg area, by all means, I'm sure I'm not the only one that knows Mike. You know, he's a legend within third group, so feel free to reach out to him. Yes, Mike, you are. I know you don't think you are, but I speak, like, regardless of where I go, especially around here, and I tell them, yeah, Mike was my Care Coalition rep. Everybody knows who you are. You know what I mean? And I think that speaks to your character and what you've gone through and how you overcame it. But I appreciate you coming on, man. Now, last question for you: if you could change anything from, you know, 17-year-old Mike getting his mom to sign his paperwork to join the Army to the point where you're at now, would you have done anything different?
No, I mean, because everything that happened to me was for a reason, you know, to where I'm at, the person I am right now is because all my life experiences, you know, is what shaped and molded me to what sits before you, you know. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's awesome, man. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, Mike.
Thank you.
Again, hopefully you guys get something from this episode. If you have any questions for Mike, just leave it in the comment section below, guys. I'll get with him and see if I can get you an answer. All right, until next time, take care of yourself.